Well, good evening, good afternoon, good morning, everyone. It's I, Badger, here for a new interview. I'm joined, of course, by my fantastic ordinary co-caster, Logical, and we are joined by a special guest today. It is Bloody Nine, currently of Dogchamp, formerly of a number of pro teams. How are you today?
I'm doing pretty good. Just came off the 2-0, so feeling happy, feeling good about where we're at.
I specifically want to ask, though, about Game 2, Osmium locks in Sniper. What goes through your head the
hmm
moment you see a Sniper in that game?
well, it's funny because we were actually talking about Sniper being a good hero before that, but then I didn't feel like it was like that amazing this game. I think Monkey has good ways to kill him, and um, I don't know, like it just didn't feel that great. We still had one more pick to go after that Sniper too. I think they picked it on 18, so then we had the 23, like in terms of that's like before the bans. Yeah. So basically, we had one more pick in response, and the Tiny helped out. They actually banned two heroes we might have wanted against it, Mars and Pango. But Tiny was like a good solution because we still had the Tiny Viper flex for the lanes, and we just wanted to figure out the best lane situation for those two. So that was kind of the thought process around all that. We weren't too worried though.
I'm also curious as to how you decide to lane kind of how you decide your lane setup in these games because you played in what's traditionally the offlane in both of these games. In game two, Stonebank joined you there. Uh,
hmm
can you go into a little bit of detail about how you choose which hero goes where?
Yeah, I mean it's just logical based. No shout out intended, but what's it called? Like so, game one, I didn't want to lane Beastmaster. That's basically we like thought they might pick it, so they show Beastmaster, and we just pick a hero for Yarn that can lane versus Beast, and Bane can kind of lane any like regular lane fairly effectively, and just struggles against summons. So I went to the off lane because of that in the first lane or first game, and we did fairly well. We kind of lost the lane, but it went alright, went fine for speed, and then safe lane was good. So, and then game two, it was that we saw a bunch of their heroes hovering around bottom, and so we just kept our heroes in the middle and kind of waited to see where they'd go. And once Dragon Knight showed in their top jungle, we realized that they're gonna put DK top to avoid the monkey, and we just brought Monkey over, who was still had courier move speed, so he just got over really quick.
Speaking of sort of series against Osmium as a whole, though, what was the sort of mindset you had going into it? Do you think you were the favorites? Do you think you were the underdogs? Do you think Osmium's a very good team? Like, how much experience do you have with this new Osmium core?
Um, well, going in, I think we were the underdogs in most people's minds, but I felt pretty confident. I feel like we've been playing really well lately. Like no matter who's been subbing in or whatever, we just got everything figured out for us. And that team seems like it's still finding its identity. They're fairly new. Like my team's been together with the main well, for like the main four people anyway for a long time, and then Speed's been stepping in, but he's been working well. And going in, I felt confident. I was kind of expecting like a 1-1 because we that's what we've been doing like every day, but we just showed up and like took them out really hard in game one, and I felt like we were pretty confident going into game two that we could win as long as we got a solid draft. Because I think drafting off of first pick's a little bit harder. So game two, I was a little worried about that, but then they didn't really do anything to like mix it up too hard in that regard.
What are your thoughts on the Pro Series tournament format compared to the DPC format? Do you like the fact that there's such a dense quantity of games, or do you prefer the DPC where you have a lot of time to prepare for literally every team that you're going to play against?
Yeah, I don't really like the DPC format in that I feel like it's just too few games for like the stakes of it. It's you play every team once. I wouldn't mind either you play every team once and then you go into a bracket based on like the top six play in a bracket, and or otherwise just doing a double round robin I think would also be one approach they could do. I feel like it's just too few games in DPC. I like this format, but it is quite a lot of games in like group stage and everything for for just like how much it ends up paying out if you don't get in the top like 4, top 6. So it does feel like a big investment, but at the end of the day, we just consider it like paid scrims basically. And if we end up getting in the top 4 or something, then we get a decent chunk of cash.
Going back to the team as a whole, you mentioned had the same core for a while. You've been playing a Stonebank for the last 2 DPC seasons. What's going on with Stonebank? Is he like still able to have full screen availability with the Ukraine thing? Has it been hard to schedule around him with the internet situation, or what's been going on there?
His internet has been fairly stable. Yesterday, against Wildcard, it actually went out and he had to drive like 5 hours over to his girlfriend's house and play on like 30 FPS. Part of the reason we lost to them, I think. But in general, he's gotten lucky. His internet's been stable. I think like, I don't know, for a bit in the start, he was hearing like sirens and sometimes even strikes in like the distance, but not close to him, and he never felt like he needed to evacuate, even though I was like suggesting that he should at the start because it seemed spooky. But at this point, it seems fairly stable. He's just in Kiev itself, and I think that's one of the more lockdown areas there. So fingers crossed that he just can keep it stable there. But he's been like the most available of all of us. Like, I don't think he's missed a single series for us, actually.
Hope that you can stay safe.
Yeah.
Also, you've had quite a few stand-ins. I mean, kind of as you mentioned, he's one of the most available players. You've had quite a few stand-ins, especially for mid and off lane. How does the team function? Does the dynamic kind of stay the same, even if you have Fade compared to Ryoya? Or does the different stand-ins that you have like really change how your team operates?
I mean, it definitely does affect the draft in different ways. Like, I try to just be creative with it because there's always some options for flex or some options to pick somebody an early hero that they know they can play against whatever, no matter who I'm playing with. And I just got to keep in mind who I'm working with and not like put them somewhere that they're going to be uncomfortable. That's like the main thing. Just have everybody feeling good about what they're doing. And then for drafting for like me, Yarn, and Stonebank, we know exactly like what we like the most right now. So yeah, I mean it's a little awkward playing with different people all the time, but we're managing to work it out pretty well right now.
Actually, perfect you mentioned draft because I actually have a question about because you're the draft for Dogchamp. You've drafted for a number of teams. What is the sort of way you approach the draft when you have somebody that's a hero spammer, i.e., Luki with Pango or formerly Rado Lisa with Storm? How much do you prioritize someone's like specialty heroes versus more of the meta heroes?
I mean, I guess I can just reveal stuff. It's not like, I don't know, for Pango, I think that hero can be first picked if you have flex on it. And for us, usually, like honestly, me and Yarn play it pretty well, so we could try doing that. But for the most part, we just put Luki on it if we have it, and sometimes that can lead to really rough lanes to just pick it so early. So even though he's great Pango, we sometimes don't prioritize that. But with Ray, like generally Storm and Quap and like once he started playing Death Prophet, these heroes he could play into like any matchup pretty much. So we would be perfectly fine just scooping those up in the first pick. But at the same time, it was limiting in some sense if they would just ban it and then pick one, which happened a lot of times. So you need at least like 4 or 5 heroes in your pool to really like shine in pro games, I think.
That makes sense. So this last question is a little bit for you directly, but do you have any players in particular that inspire you or that you watch replays a lot? Because I'm kind of assuming that it's going to be just kind of the best players in your role, like Y, Maposhka. But is there anyone else that maybe we wouldn't have heard of that you particularly enjoy watching from?
Yeah, so like one of my safe ones to just watch for like any hero are usually like Dubu, Fly, Miposhka as well. But there's also certain players that I've like just identified that are really good at their specific heroes. So like for Sineko, I watched him to learn Furion. Well, like I already kind of had an idea, but he's very precise. And then I watch Malady. He's a Russian player on Hellraisers, I think. And he's really good at Tree, so I watched him play Tree. And Like back in the day, I watched LANM for like ABBA, and that was like in started last year. And so, I don't know, there's probably a couple more like that, but usually I just like either go for the standard like highest MMR or like top tier fives, or else I watch just like whoever's a specialist.
Thank you for coming on, Bloody9. Obviously, you guys are doing pretty well in Pro Series 11. Currently 7-5. You have 2 series going up against Nouns and the Cuts. Best of luck in both of those. And then, obviously, best of luck for the next DPC season. And thanks for coming on and interviewing us. Any final words, call-outs, shout-outs you want to say to the people?
Just shout out to our sponsor, Kaneko, I guess, and everybody that's been standing in for us. And yeah, thanks for having me.
All right,
And,
good luck.
One last shout out to Sara. All right, take it easy.